Hello folks, Craig Stern here with another exciting update on Telepath Tactics. I have been working really hard to get the dialogue and scripting system up to snuff in Telepath Tactics in anticipation of running a second attempt at Kickstarter and getting the map editor and this game into the hands of eager modders. So without further ado, I'm going to show you just a little bit of what you can accomplish with just a little bit of dialogue scripting in Telepath Tactics. Let's skip through this, blah blah blah. Okay, folks. So, I just made a few silly little modifications to the first battle here for the sake of illustration. What is this? Item sack. Contents 100 coins. Now that's interesting. You might be thinking to yourself, 100 coins, does this game have a money system? And the answer is not necessarily, not unless you put it into the campaign. One of the things I added to Telepath Tactics over the past few days is a custom variable system. So you can actually set and keep track of variables that you define throughout the course of a campaign. I used that to create a new variable called money. And I also managed to put together a few items that automatically add to your money variable when you pick them up. That is the item sack contents there. 100 coins is the item. So let's go ahead and grab it. Another thing I did, folks, is I added some scripts so that whenever the value of your money goes at or above 100 on this particular map, it will trigger this dialogue. Emma Strider says, "Who left all this money just lying around? Sloppy. I'll hold on to it until I can report it to Commander Crow." That's not all, folks. That is not all. Blah blah blah, more dialogue. So now I'm going to, I'm actually a pretty big fan of this. Now you can actually trigger dialogue not just when characters die, but also when destructible objects are destroyed. So I have a trigger that I put in this map. Whenever someone destroys a chair, it triggers a certain conversation. So let's go ahead and smash this chair here. Emma Strider says, "Ah, take that, you stupid chair!" And Sabrina says, "Are you feeling okay, Emma?" I also added a dialogue action to teach her a new attack whenever that happens. Why? Just for demonstration. Not because it makes any sense. As you can see, she just got a new attack down the bottom left there. I believe I just taught her Cryoblast for no particular reason. You might have noticed something just spawned there. Is her next line of dialogue. Wait, actually, let me just spawn a boulder for no reason. And here's the dialogue after that. Shellfinger says, "Oh, I love boulders! I, Shellfinger the Stone Golem, will join you in battle." So, that's another thing I did via dialogue scripting. I spawned an ally, right? I can now control him. This is just a destructible object. You can spawn things as destructible objects, you can spawn things as allies, you can spawn them as enemies. In addition to spawning Shellfinger here, I also added him to the character roster. So he will be appearing in future battles now, because of that. I don't know if I've shown this yet, Pull. This is one of the new AoE movement abilities. So this actually pulls something. There you go. You just pulled that barrel out of position. That is a really handy ability to use if, say, for instance, you are trying to get a character out of lava or out of water where they've fallen in. So yeah, I've been working on the scripting quite a lot. That should have given you just a taste of what's possible in Telepath Tactics. I recently updated the manual with full documentation of all the dialogue scripting options that are currently available in the game. But there's more, folks. I actually also added a full-fledged dialogue and scripting editor to the map editor. We're looking at the map editor right now. All you do is you click this little button with the speech bubble. That is the Edit Dialogue button. And voila, suddenly you're in the dialogue editor. In order to add a new branch of dialogue, you just right-click, and voila, you are up and editing. So this right here is the trigger. This dialogue begins on turn 0. That is the trigger. You can have a bunch of different types of triggers, like on character death, right? And, then you can put, like, -1 because it can happen on any turn, and then the name of whatever character. So let's say Bob Bobbington. Sure. So when Bob Bobbington dies, this conversation is triggered. And let's go ahead and have our speaker be Bob Bobbington. And let's give him some dialogue. Lo, you havest killed me. That sucketh, yea, verily. There we go. Some good fantasy dialogue there, folks. So from here on in, you can add replies if this is a conversation that needs more than one reply. So let's have option 1 be die. That'll just end the conversation. Maybe option 2 will be actually, I think I'm feeling better. And that can take us to branch 1. If you take a look here, you will see a little number in the bottom, or sorry, in the top right. That is the branch number. So every conversation starts with branch 0. By putting new branch 1 here, we say that this option is going to take us to branch 1. We haven't made branch 1 yet, but that will be the next step. And actually, we'll just leave it at those 2 options. Actions. You can add any number of scripted dialogue actions to any branch of dialogue. Now, what is a scripted dialogue action? There are literally more than a dozen of these. These are just little scripts you can run to do things. So the default option here is rotate character face. That literally takes one character. You put the name and the first name right here, and then it turns that character to automatically face a second character whose name you put there. That is just one of the examples of a script you can run. There is actually a script called killchar, which kills a character that is on the battlefield. Theoretically, we could use that to get rid of Bob Bobbington, but for now, let's just stick with making a tree. Let's cut out the fancy stuff for now. So, as you can see, it just automatically updated what we see on the screen there. Let's go ahead and right-click to create a second. Oh, there we go. I was like, wait, where'd it go? Oh. So that's the thing. It actually sorts everything by conversation. Because the trigger for this is on turn 0, it's not part of the same conversation because it's not triggered by the same thing. So actually, if we want this to be branch 1 in our conversation... Actually, you know what? I have a better idea. Rather than going all the way from the start, let's delete this, and let's just duplicate this one. Voila! Now we have branch 1 in our conversation that is triggered by the death of Bob Bobbington. So let's go ahead and take this and make this the dialogue. Actually, I think I'm feeling better. Go me. And we'll just make this done. And that will end the conversation. So that is one extremely basic example of what you can do with dialogue in this game. It does support dialogue trees. With these things, you can actually split your campaigns, right? You can have different options, different choices that lead you to different scenes. Alright guys, here's the last thing I'm going to show you in this video. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to create and modify and check your own custom variables in the game. This is, I think, probably the coolest aspect of modding right now in Telepath Tactics. So here's the deal. We're going to create a new variable. The action we use to do that is called setVal. That's short for set value. What you do in the action parameters is you name the variable, whatever you want to do. We will, just for the sake of illustration, create a variable called reputation that will stand for our character's reputation among various factions in the world. The next parameter you put in after you put a little comma is you put an operation. So that can be equals, plus, minus, minus, multiply, divide, or multiply by a percentage value. there's a lot I could say about all that. For now, we're just going to make it easy, and we're going to just do equals 0. Those are the three parameters right there. Name of the variable, the operation you use, and the amount. So we're making reputation equal to 0 here. That's on turn 0. We don't really need to worry about the dialogue. Maybe we'll put another action in end conv immediately. This stuff is all going to be documented, by the way, in the game manual. This is an action that causes the conversation to end without the player actually seeing it. So it's a way to just run pure scripting if you don't want to have actual dialogue associated with it. So there we have it. On turn 0, we're setting up the variable reputation. So now let's create an actual dialogue situation. Speaker name, I don't know, Merchant Guy. That will be his name. And his dialogue will be, how do you feel about the Merchants Guild? And we'll just have 2 replies here. And we will, let's see. Yeah, so we'll have 1 reply that goes to branch 1 and a second reply that goes to branch 2. First reply will be, I love 'em. Second reply will be, they suck. A very, very simplistic conversation where we have an excuse to modify the new reputation variable that we just created. Let's go ahead and duplicate that branch. We are now editing dialog branch 1, as denoted up there in the top right. And so we'll just take our reply from here. We will make it the dialogue. We are the speakers. This would be an actual character name in real life, but this isn't real life, so I don't have to think of it. We will make this end conv. So we'll end the conversation, and we will do an action. We're going to now modify our reputation variable. We're going to, once again, use setVal. We're going to type in reputation, and instead of using an equal sign, this time we're going to use a plus, and I don't know, +5. So now our reputation has just been increased by 5 because we said nice things about the Merchants Guild. Now, of course, let me just double check. They suck was what we said was going to be our second response here. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. They suck. And this will make the reputation variable decrease by 5. Now, I'm going to explain a quick little difference here. There are actually 2 ways you can use the minus sign. You can do minus or minus minus. Just a regular minus is used for modeling things like money. It prevents the result from ever going below 0. Reputation, however, is a thing that I think we want to allow to go into the negatives, so we're going to use minus minus. So there you have it. setVal reputation minus minus 5. And that is our dialogue tree for on turn 1. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's awesome. We can create variables and we can set their values. But what do we do when we want to actually check a variable's value? Well, let's go ahead and create one more dialogue tree where we can show that off. Let's just not have a speaker. Let's just make this sort of narrative. You approach the entrance to the Merchants Guild. We're not actually going to see this, because what we're going to do here is we're going to add a couple of actions. The type of action we want is called if val go to. And that is basically shorthand for if the value of a custom variable is within a certain range, go to this dialog branch. That is the very long thing that is short for. So first things first, we're going to check reputation. we are going to see, now there are a few different things we can use here. We can use equals, we can use less than, we can use greater than, we can use greater than or equal to, and we can use less than or equal to. Just for the sake of simplicity, let's just say that this is the only thing that modifies reputation. We don't need to use greater than or equal to. We'll just say if reputation equals 5, then we want to go to dialog branch 1. However, if reputation equals -5, we want to go to dialog branch 2. Very simple. So that is branch 0. So this script will run the very second this conversation starts. We'll either go to branch 1 or branch 2, depending on how the Merchants Guild feels about us. So let's see here. So branch 1 is the Merchants Guild likes us. So let's say Merchants Guild Guard. Hello, we like you here. Come on in. And then we can have a like a little reply that goes to new scene, and we can say inside the Merchants Guild, or whatever the name of our scene is. So that'll be branch 1. For branch 2, what we're probably going to do is have the Merchants Guild guard say something like, "You are a big, jerky jerk face. I hate you. Please go run face first into something unpleasant." And we can just end the conversation right there. So there we have it, folks. That is a quick example of how you can create a variable, right, using setVal, how you can modify a variable, once again using setVal, and how you can check a variable and have it affect the flow of a conversation using ifval goto. This is an extremely powerful system that allows you to create your own variables, modify them based on player dialogue choices, and branch a campaign in any number of directions that you want. It's pretty cool stuff. I hope you'll forgive me for taking a brief detour from working on the AI to add this in. I feel like this adds a lot of exciting possibilities to the game. I'm excited about it anyway. I hope you are too. And that is all I have for today, folks. I'm going to get back to working on the enemy AI and making it even more terrifying. I will see you guys next time.